Dear YouTube community, this is a story from the terrifying period of witches in Europe between the 15th and 18th centuries. There was a persecution of people accused of witchcraft, with accusations ranging from summoning spirits and performing spells to healing, through unconventional methods and cursing neighbors or acquaintances. Please support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. The Martyrdom of the Witches. The horizon of Europe collapsed under a shroud of ash and superstition, marking the beginning of an era where the light of reason was stifled by the smoke of pyres. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, the continent became a stage of shadows cast by paranoia and dogma. At the epicenter of this social earthquake in the year 1487, wooden presses groaned to give birth to the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. Heinrich Kramer, an inquisitor whose mind was a nest of obsessions and misogyny, wrote this volume not merely as a treatise, but as a weapon of mass destruction. The book transformed old village legends into a tangible, existential threat. Witches were no longer simple healers, but soldiers of a satanic legion infiltrated into every corner of Christendom. The manual provided surgical instructions on how to identify the devil's mark, how to break the will through torment, and how to legally process extermination. In this context of oppression, the story of Morrigan takes on a tragic dynamism. Morrigan lived on the edge of an ancient forest, a place where time seemed to have stopped. She was the guardian of ancestral wisdom, a woman who understood the intersection of the biological and the spiritual. Her unconventional healing methods, the use of moss to stop bleeding and fermented roots to soothe the pain of childbirth, were viewed with a mixture of gratitude and dread. But when the Malleus Maleficarum reached the hands of local magistrates, gratitude evaporated. Social tension began to boil. A simple disagreement with a neighbor over land boundaries, or the fact that Morrigan did not lower her gaze before men of faith, became the seat of a deadly intrigue. She was accused of maleficium, of having caused a plague in the livestock with nothing but a whisper to the wind. Her daughter, Alawan, represented cornered innocence. She was a vibrant young woman who shared her mother's love for nature, but who now had to learn to live in absolute silence. The drama intensified when, one winter night, the ecclesiastical militia kicked down their door. The dynamism of the scene was brutal. The smell of torches, the sound of steel clashing against wood, and Alawan's screams as she was dragged through the mud. Morrigan was taken to the city dungeons, a labyrinth of stone where dampness seeped in like fear itself. Their systematic persecution revealed itself in all its cruelty. Justice was not sought, but rather the validation of the fear that sustained the power of the church and the state in an era of profound social transformation. In the adjacent cell, wrapped in rags that were once silk, was Selene. She was the symbol of beauty and persecuted intellect. Selene, a noblewoman who had dedicated her life to the study of the stars and Neoplatonic philosophy, had been denounced by her own cousin, who coveted her inheritance. Her crime was invoking celestial spirits through the use of astrolabes and star maps. The intersection of the legal and the religious became absurd. Instruments of navigation and science were presented in court as tools of witchcraft. Selene and Morrigan, united by misfortune, began to plan a resistance from the heart of the abyss. Selene used her eloquence to sow doubt among the less fanatical guards, while Morrigan employed her chemical knowledge to create ointments that numbed the senses, allowing them to endure the interrogations. However, the true unexpected twist came with the appearance of Lilith. Lilith was not a prisoner, but a shadow moving with terrifying freedom through the corridors of the Inquisition. It was said she was a survivor of a previous purge, a woman who had embraced the darkness to fight fire with fire. Lilith operated a network of espionage and sabotage. She was the one who intercepted the Inquisitor's correspondence and stole gunpowder supplies from the garrison. Her presence added an electric dynamism to the narrative. Lilith infiltrated the prison disguised as a confessing nun. Reaching Morrigan's cell, she brought no religious comfort, but a dagger and an escape plan involving setting fire to the archive tower where the lists of the next suspects were kept. The intrigue reached an unbearable point of tension during the public trial. Father Varga, a man who personified the fanaticism of the Hammer of Witches, presided over the tribunal. Alawan was used as bait. They threatened her with the ordeal of water if her mother did not confessed to her carnal links with the demon. The drama was suffocating. The square was filled with citizens whose faces reflected a mixture of morbidity and terror. Just as the death sentence was about to be pronounced, Lilith triggered her trap. A series of coordinated explosions shook the foundations of the square. Amidst the chaos and smoke, Morrigan broke free from her chains with a strength born of desperation. The dynamism of the final battle was bone-chilling. Lilith and a group of armed dissidents clashed with the Swiss Guard in a bloody conflict that symbolized the struggle between the old order and individual liberty. Selene, using her knowledge of the square's acoustics, shouted forbidden truths about the corruption of the magistrates, causing the crowd, initially hostile, to begin doubting and turning against the persecutors. Morrigan managed to rescue Alain from Vargas' clutches in a dramatic confrontation atop the flaming scaffold. The Inquisitor, blinded by his own hate, fell into the pyre he himself had ordered built. The escape was an odyssey through a Europe that was still burning. Morrigan, Alain, Selene, and Lilith became urban legends, the witches of liberty, who roamed the roads helping the persecuted. However, history is no fairy tale. Systematic persecution continued for decades more, fueled by ignorance and Kramer's book, which continued to be printed in every tongue. This terrifying period left an indelible scar on the collective psyche, a reminder that when fear becomes law, the innocent are the first to burn. The story of these 4 women ended in the mists of time, but their struggle against the hammer remained etched as an emblem of human resistance against dogmatism and organized cruelty.